Hopefully the stream is alright, since I'm not in my dorms anymore. I'm actually back in the apartment because COVID. Not that I have COVID. Also, hi Panic.
Hello.
But yeah, we've got cases in my dorm building, so I'm back in. I'm not at dorms anymore.
Actual last minute solve coming through.
Alright, I'll have the refresh. Oh, it's 59 already.
We've got 50
Congratulations,
seconds.
the tournament is over.
Oh, there is no. The deadline is 7:59. It's not like 12 o'clock exact. You username void. I'm just looking at the Discord right now. So hi everyone.
Hello.
State machines, yeah, state machines are used. But Shadow Cluster put up a document, but changed and categorized the solves into a few categories. But most of them are either straight up using logic gates or using registers. Those are the two main approaches. Implementation may vary a bit.
A bit of a cry from last year where it was all but 2 logic gate solves and then 2 register solves ahead of the rest.
Yeah. Everybody now everybody knows that register solves are possible. Whether it's good or not depends. But it's exciting. So yeah, I'm gonna start introducing the puzzle then. Oh, Finder just posted my Twitch. So yeah, Shadow Cluster made a sheet that kind of just details like pretty much everybody solved, but so I guess it's kind of useless that I had everyone send in their explanations, I can always check on it. But yeah, let me talk about the puzzle. So this week's puzzle and the final week of the puzzle is our annual computation puzzle. The puzzle this year is that you have to implement Rule 110 in Opus Magnum. So, and we also have computation mod installed, made by Mr. Puzzle here. So that means the inputs actually change as we pull stuff. So the inputs and output sets we have are this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Yeah, I can change them on the fly. Well, at least before it plays, it's nice. Mr. Puzzle did a great job. Yeah.
I really like the mod. It's just a satisfying way of validating a solve.
Makes the solves interesting as well. I didn't get to check if there's any solves that have collisions last minute, but if y'all have run through Not Great's parser, it will probably most likely be fine. But yeah, let me load in the first solves then. Unfortunately, Steven did not finish his solve, so we don't get a Steven solve.
Oh no.
We do get a half-finished showcase though. Anyways, the parser is gonna take a while. Alright, here we go. We'll be starting with 38th place.
Actually, do you mind if I do a little bit more introduction on Rule 110?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Rule 110 is all about something called cellular automata, which is... I'm not actually entirely sure what the formal definition of that is. I think Biggie would probably be able to give a more mathematically rigorous definition. But essentially, you have like some kind of state, and then you look at the state, and then you evolve the state based off of some kind of rule. And in this case, our state is like a one-dimensional line of either ones or zeros, and our next what happens in the next iteration is essentially just picking a bunch of logic values based off of what the previous state was. In Rule 110, this logic can be kind of summarized as an OR function of the previous state, like the one right before it, and its right neighbor, with the exception that the 111 case goes to 0.
Yeah, that's the simplest way of breaking up this Rule 110 currently that most people have implemented. It's also a pretty easy way to use it in Opus Magnum, since OR gates are the easiest gates in Opus Magnum.
Yeah.
At least with regarding to triplex logic.
Right. And in this case, in Opus Magnum, we have, again, we use the triplex bonder as an AND gate because it only binds 2 fires together, which in this case we're using to indicate 1, and salt we're using to indicate 0. And the duplication glyph is a very, very easy OR gate.
Basically, a lot of this stuff we have done already last year on Brookie's EOU puzzle, but like right now we're implementing with something else on a different puzzle with a lot more competition, and the input shape is different. Yeah, the competition is much more fierce this year.
I thought it was interesting that you chose to use the same paradigm of computation with salt and fire and binary.
Oh yeah, the
It
reason
means
I
that
actually
you can benefit from last year's results, which is good, because last year it was like clear that there were ideas only a couple people, myself included, were aware of. So this is going to be the year when everyone has access to those ideas.
Yeah, so the reason I chose Rule 110 in particular is that I felt like Rule 110 would have like several algorithms that you can choose from, and also several implementations of algorithms, which makes for a lot of different solves, which makes it interesting. That's mostly the reason I chose Rule 110 over all the other ideas I had for the computation puzzle. But yeah, guess that means we can begin now. We'll be starting with in 38th place, starting pretty far behind. At username void at 1428 metric points. 1428 weighted sum. I guess.
Interesting. Last year we started in the 10,000s, and this time 1400 is trailing far behind.
I did feel like that this puzzle was easier to approach than 8-bit subtraction.
Oh, I see it starts with triple fire because that's the case that usually matters. I guess for username void, this is probably a last minute solve.
Yeah, it's called solve, and it gets the 10 points guaranteed if you submit a solution that is valid.
Yeah.
So
oh, right. I see it as I see the 160 happening. I do that too.
Oh wow, yeah. I guess you can do 160 if you're just reading 3 pieces off the input. Not even my TI solve is 160. It's 190.
That's even more impressive.
Oh, wait a second. I think I can guess as to what you're doing with that, actually.
But yeah,
anyway, at 160, you're just looking at 3 neighboring atoms of the input and trying to read whether they are salt or fire, and performing a computation that depends on whether or not the input is in the right place. If the input's in the right place, it'll make a fire atom come out, and if it's been moved away, then a salt atom comes out instead.
So it's basically a triple fire detector plus an OR gate. It's a pretty simple solve. Also, we have Mr. Puzzle's finally said if it's getting close to usable mod that
Oh right, cause zoom.
Yeah, cause zoom mod. Oops.
That'll be good for like high T or low T solutions though.
Yeah.
To allow it to run fast consistently. This mod also has the 5 tabs for different things that you can display, but I guess weighted sum isn't one of them.
Oh yeah, I can show instructions if you want. Is weighted sum one of them?
No. Normal sum is, though.
Normal sum is.
But
And there's sum 4 and instructions. So if you get the TI solves, you can use that because I don't have it shown on the top right, top left.
So the bulk of this solution's metric comes from its cycle count, which is because it's not really a fast algorithm, it's just a simple algorithm.
Well, I mean, this algorithm can go pretty fast if you do it efficiently.
Okay, that makes sense.
Except it's not an efficient implementation of the algorithm. But yeah, next up we have another just a last minute solve by Hugh Toby in 37th place at 1238. A lot smarter.
Oh, this one is duplicating off of the input to make a stick of 3, and then running logic on that stick of 3. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's a triple fire or triple fire detector plus OR gate. And it's just throwing away the input like that. Yeah, the solves on the bottom kind of just look like this. We'll get to the interesting solves soon though.
I like how this one counts to 3 on the side there.
Oh yeah. That's probably one of the most efficient ways to count to 3. I recall it being used later on.
Oh, the push and pull wand from the piston?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first thing is an OR gate and the second one is a count to 3, and so that determines whether it's salt or fire. Yep.
Panic, do you remember how long it took for me to make my solve?
The original one?
The one that I submitted.
I don't. It was pretty fast though.
Yeah, probably because I had a lot of time actually planning the algorithm now. Not that it's a difficult algorithm. And also the fact that my solve is 160, so it's pretty low effort. Oh, string keeps on free? Oh.
It's fine for me as well.
I guess it's just Utobi then. And we can speed it up. Oh, right, yeah, actually click somewhere where it doesn't overlap.
At 945 cycles, this seems to be a cycles puzzle at the top. Just the slower like being a little bit faster will earn you some places. Because this is like a 1 to 9 to 1 ratio of metric coming from cost, cycles, and area.
Yeah. Alrighty, next up we have in 36th place at 1166 metric points to layer. Let me actually rotate this so that it fits on the screen better. Here we go.
He was working on this in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Got some status updates in the Discord.
So this one is a double pipeline, so it does make it much faster. But like 300 cycles faster. Shadow Clash is explaining the algorithm in the chat as well.
Yep. The first thing it does on a triplex bonder is check for 0, 0, which means it can ignore the rest of the computation. Doing it in 2 pipelines is interesting.
Oh yeah, so
I guess that makes sense given cycles. Sorry, talking over you.
Alright, yeah, this solve was originally 666 cycles on one of the iterations. I'm guessing that's where the name comes from. Tiller in the stream right now? Like watching the stream right now?
I don't see him.
Yeah. Oh,
Ah.
there it is.
Now it's Purgatory 668.
No, it's
The waste
Purgatory.
chains are a bit of a shame. When you only can have
Right,
one
yeah.
disposal, 2 pipelines means that you'll have waste on one of them.
There's a lot of waste, so waste management is another part of this puzzle since area has a much higher proportion. Now that cost is like divided by 5. Which means you kind of need to keep area in mind more so usually than you would with a sum puzzle.
It does say it saved 300 metric points over the good twin alone, which makes some sense because the good twin alone would have half or double the cycle count, which is in the 1300s.
Yeah. More
I think the main struggle here
is still better than like double the cycles.
Yeah, the struggle here is trying to get your algorithm to run pretty fast, and when you're reading from the input 18 times, and each one is at least a 4-cycle loop on the arm that is triplex testing, that's a really slow, or comparatively slow algorithm.
Also, if y'all see the asterisk on the metric calculations on the top left of the screen, that means it's not accurate since if the asterisk is there, that means well, the individual metrics of cost, cycles, and area is done locally, but without computation. But the weighted sum is from a CSV file from the website itself that actually simulates all 64 cases. So it might not always be accurate. Like, it doesn't always add up. Those numbers, if you add it up right now, it's not gonna equal 1166. But if it does, there won't be an asterisk there, because sometimes the metric is static, or just happens to line up.
Right. Sometimes you might. Sometimes the solution will solve faster on a particular put, or it's less area.
Usually it's area, especially if you do waste chains.
Yeah.
Cost is definitely not going to change, though.
Yeah, that was something that came up. Sorry. Yeah, that was something that came up last year. Someone asked whether or not if I saw more cycles variations or area variations.
Definitely area.
Yeah, so the reason why I personally thought it wasn't too hard to tell is because anytime where you're pivoting, or sorry, not pivoting, you're rotating and then dropping your output onto the output glyph, that usually indicates that it's done.
Yeah, you're also not allowed to put a wrong output on the output glyph. Well, I mean, you can't put the same shape over it as the wrong output.
Right, exactly. So because that's tied to your ARM's output drop instruction, usually that means that your cycles count is going to be the same. The catch, though, is that if you are generating what is it called? Conditional atoms at once, and you're checking for if the wheel is completely full, and you're using that as an output conditional, then yes, your cycles can vary. But I think it's more often than not to have waste chains.
Yeah, but yeah, I've definitely seen a cycles varying solve.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, next up we have would be 36th place myself, very low effort, triple fire detector plus ore gate. It's a pretty bad implementation of a triple fire detector as well. I didn't try very hard.
There are a lot of them that seem to be duplicating off of the input instead of peeling the input, because when you're reading 3 atoms, you're going to have to reuse them 3 times a piece.
Yeah, which makes it much more convenient. This is optimized for convenience, not for not for the metric whatsoever. That's why it's also 160, doing the pretty much the exact same thing as Username Boy did with ARM 13 over there.
Shadow Cluster says this is what your bedroom probably looks like.
No comment.
Man, I wish I had a transmutation engine in my bedroom.
No comment on that, Shadow Cleanser. Yeah, I have waste chains of just fire and salt lying around my bedroom, definitely.
Totally not a fire hazard.
So, if I understand this right, the arm on the very bottom that otherwise drops into disposal only pulls away everything if there's
Yeah,
3
there's-
fire.
I can do that.
And
With
otherwise,
no
there's an
one.
ore gate. I see.
Yeah, and that one just sends us all over. Otherwise, it's an ore gate.
And then you'll have different waste chains depending on what was used from the wheel. I get it.
Yeah.
Optimized for convenience makes sense. This is the algorithm that I thought was pretty simple, but I struggled to make into a register.
Yeah. If you want to make into a register, triple fire detecting is not that easy.
It is stateful though, because once you've detected 3 fire, you know that the next time you'll already have 2 fire in the whatever in the pot.
Alrighty, next up we have at 995, we're sub 1000 now in 35th place, Communist Mountain. 4:30 a.m.
Ooh.
Compact. Huh.
Oh, and it does a calcifying on the entire input so that it doesn't ever have to place the gold source. That's kind of funny.
Ooh. So it reads out. Yeah.
Oh, so it
And
saves
then-
everything?
I like all the
Kind of.
registers.
It saves
Yeah,
all the
true.
information it needs and then it determines if it needs to change to calcify the output?
So it's the wheel is ored to its neighbor, so the ore is done kind of on that one duplication glyph. But then it also has to replace 111s by salt. So it does a wand attachment to push salts.
Oh, so and ARM9 saves how many 111s actually happened.
Exactly. And arms 4 and 1 are actually creating the ore version of the wheel.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Even though it can be the same algorithm, there are definitely many implementations of it.
This is a really cool. Yeah, so this is a really cool implementation of it because of how direct it is. But yeah, there's ARM 4 holds all the fire atoms that does the ore of the last two, and then ARM 9 holds on to the atoms for all the 111 special cases, which are the two things that you can check for when you're computing Rule 110.
Yeah, and then on the left it checks, was there a salt anywhere in 3 atoms by spinning 3 times and trying to grab the atom away.
Yeah.
And if it's not grabbed away, then it gets shifted. And if it is grabbed away, then it just stays what it is. Pretty cool.
This is well organized. It's cool that Communist Mountain threw something together in the end and it came out this way, because it's really cool.
Yeah. It feels like it's been planned, actually been planned through. Yeah. Next up, we have at 884 now, dropping by the hundreds in 34th place, Catspin.
She was in chat saying the drops were concerning, and it's still dropping, and it dropped right through her.
Oh, it's 60, that means it's lagging. Okay, so this is our first algorithm that's quite significantly different. It's our first register solve, I believe.
Ooh.
Oh, the stream is dying because of your
Oh,
computer struggling with the 6T.
oof.
It looks okay for me. It is lagging a bit though.
Lagging a bit is probably just on my end. It seems fine. The stream seems fine. It's 6,000 kilobits per second.
Yeah, it came back. There was just a moment where it was very much not good from my end.
But yeah, this is what I would probably call more of a lookup table solve.
That's an accurate description, yeah.
Basically, it just kind of just counts which row it is, no, which combinations of the 3 bits it is, and it changes the lookup table to like output the right thing.
Yeah, it's specifically looking up on the value of left neighbor plus 2 times self plus 2 times right neighbor. So you're seeing it pass 2 different salts through the duplicator before it rotates the wheel.
It is a bit more compact. You're not actually checking 4 times the clockwise neighbor, because I guess you don't need to.
Yeah, it's one of the nice features of the specific rule is that your outputs become a little bit redundant with each other, allowing you to simplify what you're actually reading.
Oh, right, it loops. So right now we're at the disassembly portion. But yeah, I find it a bit unfortunate that ARM9 needs to actually calcify before outputting though. There's not enough salt inputs.
Otherwise, you need the calcifier over next to the register assembly, because there is a salt necessary within the register to prevent excessive duplication.
Unless you don't
You could
use
actually
that
make it a
and
different
make
shape.
a bend, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or the other place where the salt input is used, you could like run that thing in a loop to calcify everything.
Yeah, you can also do that.
It's worth noting, I'm looking at last year's results. An 884 weighted sum would get you 22nd. So the competition is 13 more fierce.
And it still drops. It's still dropping.
Oh yeah, I'm curious how many people are far lower than what would have gotten like 3rd or 4th last year. Or even 1st, I don't know.
Alright, next up we have at 875 weighted sum in 33rd place, 42 Genius 42. That is a long solution name. Double pipeline, I see. It seems that a lot of people have decided that double pipeline is actually worth it for the metric points.
And that can be true when your solve has a fundamentally pretty slow algorithm. One thing that I do think is worth pointing out about Rule 110 though, you don't have to double pipeline 2 inputs. You can double pipeline 2 halves of the same input. Because there's no carry bit, there's no information that you need to be holding when you start a different portion of the same input. You could do 2 pipelines, but they're each reading the same input from the other half.
Right, yeah. Also because it's easier to move around a flare than a stick.
Wow, stop throwing that much shade at me.
I mean,
I like
the
stick.
Yeah, the stick worked for ELU. It's just harder to move around, so you can't like have 2 separate pipelines like this. There are 2 versions of 2 pipelines. There's the ones that just take 2 inputs and process it at the same time. There's the other kind that processes both sides of one single input. Those are both 2 pipelines, but done slightly differently.
It's quite interesting because if you think about at what point it gets makes sense to do double pipeline, it's when your solution is cheap enough and small enough that doubling your gold, in fact, even maybe more than doubling your gold, and maybe, doubling your area, saves you overall more metric than your cycles, which gets cut in half.
So basically,
Kind of.
slow solutions that are cheap and small benefit from
Right.
benefit from doubling up.
Right, and of course it's a rough estimate because you might be able to combine arms that do the same thing on both sides if you invoke the symmetry argument. But yeah.
Also, for this specific solve, have we talked about the algorithm for this one yet?
We have not. Shadow Clusters talked about it in the chat, though.
I have to scroll up to see that.
The wheel works like a register here. It'll do something different depending on where it is. So Genius is actually taking the known fire and moving the wheel itself around like a register. And position-based conditionals on that will cause it to calcify or not calcify or orgate. It's great.
Yeah. It seems to check for 2 fire instead of 3 though. Which I guess is all that's necessary.
No, because 110 and 111 have different outcomes. There's probably a pivot happening before it does the second fire check. I see it, yeah.
So it only has to pull it back and forth twice. Yeah, you can do a lot of pipelines, but like whether it's worth it or not is not always the same. Yeah. Next up, we have drop time. And 32nd place at 710 weighted sum, we have anime.
That's a damn impressive drop.
And it's also super compact.
We're now 15th place last year.
We're now in default zone, by the way. So this is a triple fire detector, plus an OR gate. It's a very simple implementation of one.
This thing is tiny.
And it passes off the previous input to become the next output. That's why it's 6T.
Oh, it starts with a whole wheel of salt so it doesn't have to dispose. That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. No disposal
That
salt,
works
yeah.
in some geometries.
And in the case that it actually detects 3 fires, it never goes down, so it never actually calcifies anything onto it. It never actually duplicates any fire onto it. So that's the triple fire detection for salt.
Right, it will never put anything at the bottom for the duplication. Okay, this is close to min glyphs, honestly.
Yeah, this is a very easy to understand solve. I like it.
Yeah, and when it gets the next input, ARM8 is doing is going back and forth because half of it isn't calcified. That's just a nice little touch.
Also, the fact that there's no disposal means you can't quite really loop this. I guess you can. Just make a waste chain. Throw it off to the side.
Or like conditionally build the first ring or something.
Very non-trivial to loop this.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Because you can just waste chain it off and just throw it to the side. Because area doesn't count after you solve it.
But yeah, I guess the reason this is losing cycles is because it spends a lot of time checking for 3 things and then checking for 2 things.
Yeah, checking for 3 fire is kind of slow over here. So, a useful way to like approximate how fast a solution is for this puzzle in particular is the amount of time it takes to process a single bit. No, this is not min glyph.
Yeah, you can get away with not using quite a few of the bonding glyphs here.
Yeah, you can. You can not use triplex. You can not use duplication. Like not like at the same time though, but like.
If you can do this puzzle without triplex and no duplication, well.
Just go
But yeah,
all
and I
out
guess-
of chaos and do it by hand.
We do
Arm
have
2 also
other
has
cost
to wait-
showcases that are definitely going to showcase that.
Are the min cost showcases the same cost?
No. So they're not min cost showcases, they're just cost showcases because some of them obviously aren't min. And kind of funny that one of the area solves is actually cheaper than one of the cost solves.
Beautiful.
Everybody's like their thoughts on what the minimum amount of glyphs is required is different. Yeah, next up, who? Remember when I said starting with 5 is not a good digit?
Oh, are we
Yeah,
heading
already
there
there?
already?
Already know.
Starting in 31st place, we have Joel at 582 weighted sum.
Oh my goodness.
The crowd has gotten so good.
Yeah,
We were in 9th place
yeah, they
last year.
have. So only the ghost is. Oh no, never mind. There's more than just the gold disposed.
This is a really area conscious solution, which is nice. It does seem to be carrying information so that it's allowed to actually remove it from the input instead of duplicate it 3 times.
Yeah. If you keep the information, you can just reuse it.
Joel is Iwikal in the chat, because I know that he was talking in Discord also about thinking it was a cycles challenge.
Yeah. This 430 is kind of average in cycles. Maybe it's been adjusted after he found out that
Okay, but
it wasn't.
if you make one of the tracks 1 tile longer for no good reason, it'll be 420.69.
Yeah, it would. A good one would probably be the one arm 6 is on. Make that a loop instead. 420.69 and almost 420 cycles.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how compact this one is. And the reuse of 2 physical atoms so that you can do all 3 sixings without having to go back and read the input again. They make this a really appealing looking algorithm. It's just a little bit limited in speed because of just the geometry of where it's moving everything.
Yeah. Also, we started out this week, the Smitches coming in at all, like, over 1,000 and all. Like, in the 700, 800s, and then everybody optimized the solves, and now everybody, like, 500 something is 31st place. It's crazy.
People had a much higher self-expectation because of ELU, I'm imagining. Like, no one was going to feel satisfied with something in the 700s or 800s,
Yeah.
knowing ELU could be done in 365.
Okay, but there are, like, how many 500 solves are? Oh. Okay. Alright. Next up, we have in 30th place, as well, Chickens in the Attic already expected, Chickens in the Attic. At 576 weighted sum. Dynamic State Machine.
I like the word state machine.
This one's interesting, the register actually changes.
Wow, that's
I've hoped to see something like this, but I never made it work. But dynamic state machine is beautiful.
Wait, what does dynamic state machine mean?
It means that the state is encoded in position and content of the register, and not just position.
Ah.
Which does allow it to not bond to assault if assault is there. Oh, is that how it's remembering the last 2 bits?
Ooh.
Is that how it is remembering the last 2 bits? That would be really cool. I can't tell for sure.
I don't know, we can read what Shadow Cluster has written. I can also, yeah, it would probably also be helpful if I go and show what... Okay, Gearbox Gordon. That is a long text file of the algorithm.
So the third bit of the register is the one I'm trying to figure out.
I can probably post what they have written. Reach character limit. Blech. That sucks.
It looks like ARM8 is rotating once every 12 or so cycles, and every time it rotates, it produces 1 bit of output. So that would suggest that the speed of the solution is 72 cycles per output, but I might be off with that 12 estimation because I'm not seeing it clearly.
It seems like the first, so it keeps reading 3 atoms over and over. If the first atom is a fire, the stick gets moved up and one of the atoms gets calcified.
So
Which
11, so not...
Oh, and that's what does the every 3, because if that's calcified and then the other 2 are set as well, then the salt just swings over the duplicator and doesn't get duplicated to fire. So the first thing it does is it checks whether the atom in the first position is fire, calcifies that if it is, and then it moves over according to the next 2 atoms. Seems to be.
I mean, by inspired by Biggie ELU Communist Mountain, do you just mean it uses a register that is horizontal and duplicates? I mean, it's certainly the solution people think of now when that concept is present, but I think the concept is powerful regardless of whether I was the one to give it a fame moment.
Registers in general are powerful because you get to just save a state in a really compact space and actually read from it real quickly as well.
Yeah, the positions of a Waldo within the reactor and space chem are the way you would want to do it in that game. But since the arms are always going to be in a pretty well-defined place at the specific time in their instruction tray, the thing you need to do in Opus Magnum is store information in atoms.
Atom states, yeah.
The register's the cleanest way to do it, I think.
Yeah, and while we're on the topic of Space Chem's conditional stuff, with Space Chem you have the super powerful almighty sense
Sensors,
command,
yeah.
which you just don't have in Opus Magnum, which it makes registers so much more powerful in comparison because it just allows you so much more. I guess it's more like you don't have sensors in Opus Magnum, and Opus Magnum isn't... I don't think conditional execution was something that Zach actually really intended to be a thing in the game.
The triplex happens to work really nicely with it. Even though that's not the only way you can use conditional. I believe there's one solve that uses a glyph that's not triplex bonders, duplication, calcification, and debonders for logic. Yeah.
2 salts and an animismus is a pretty common one from the last year as well.
Yeah, it's 2 salts and an animismus.
It's pretty hard to imagine a register without triplex, though.
So yeah, if
Agreed.
that solve doesn't, if the solve that I received hasn't changed, it's it has the animismus glyph in it. One of the scoring solves, and there's definitely showcase showing solves that have extra different glyphs as well. I remember seeing one with quintessence glyph,
Yeah, so on the topic of
which is provided.
animismus... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying that you are pretty much provided with all the glyphs other than the metal ones.
Yeah. So, on the topic of animismus, I do think that pretty much most of the register-based approaches are sensing for fire is going to use triplex because it's just so much faster with bonding onto your
Oh, yeah.
register and moving.
Yeah, it is.
Because animismus just requires like grab drops all over the place and it's horrible.
But anyways,
Yeah. The benefit of the register is you can be physically holding your unknown atom and still get conditional action. Whereas
Yeah.
if you have to do animismus, you will have to figure out how to hold or hold nothing before you can move something conditionally.
Alright, next up we have in 569 metric, weighted sum in 29th place, Haxton. Calcifier 111. Yeah. Very simple algorithm, except the 111 detector is kinda large. Oh, whoops, I forgot pressing F10 resets. I'm pressing F10 to basically center it nowadays, because that works.
So how many people built an OR machine and just put it through the validator to see how many test cases it covered?
Yeah, that's the antler thing. That's the antler pattern on the white box.
So the answer to that question, well, actually, I don't know how many people did it, but the answer to how many cases actually have the 111 case in there is 25, which means that 39 cases you can do purely by just ORing the last two atoms, and you'll get a Sierpinski triangle out of it.
Yeah, just ORing the last two bits is basically almost all of the, like, more than half of the test cases. It's funny, actually. I wonder if that's one of the reasons why Roll 110 does what Roll 110 does. Other
I don't
than being
know.
asymmetric.
There's a lot of reasons for the chaos that comes from evolving Rule 110. I don't think it's... I think 111 behaving as a 0 is one of them, otherwise it would just become pretty heavily on. Everything in the middle would just get on and stay on because it's the OR.
Yeah.
It needs to have some mechanism by which a populated area can die.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
The analysis of why Rule 110 is Turing complete is something that is far, far outside my field of expertise.
It's pretty much outside the
It's
expertise
something the
of this
greater
puzzle.
mathematical community figured out when I was still a toddler, so I mean, it's easy, right?
Clearly.
Calculus was also figured out a while ago, but like a long while ago, but I don't think that's exactly, most people would exactly call that easy.
I like how the counting to 3 is done in the bottom with arm 11, conditionally grabbing right after the stick would be wanded away.
It also saves the state so it doesn't need to like read it all over again every single time. It also needs to have 2 extra bits added to it though. Alright, next up we have at 568, 1 metric point off, in 28th place, we have Elekitu.
Ooh.
Okay, this is the animism.
Snipe Haxton. MK7, so fast it makes the MK6 look like the MK5. Interesting, this one is starting with a fire wheel and it's calcifying from there if needed.
The animismus glyph.
If it detects if it detects 2 salt, it's gonna, move the wheel.
This is detecting 3 fire the same way yours is, Biz.
Oh yeah, except it's doing it much more efficiently. And actually moving the product wheel.
Oh, this is actually really clean.
Yeah, this is a great order of operations.
Let me check the all salt case. So yeah, if remorse happens, it's calcified. That makes sense.
It makes some sense because when you look at the Rule 110 state table, 5 of the outcomes lead to fire, and 3 of them lead to salt. So if you were to start with fire, there are fewer cases where you would need to change it into a salt.
I also like how the gold is kind of just passed on in the same pipeline. Neat way to dispose of it.
Yeah, I guess this one is doing an and or a not and not in order to do an or, because it checks whether both of them are salt,
Oh,
and then uses that to. Yeah, if both are salt, it gets to be a salt. So.
I think there was a solve that I made that had an XOR gate that I used Animismus for, and then I noticed, wait a minute, I don't actually need to use Animismus for an XOR gate. Not for this puzzle. Yeah. Next up, we have a small drop. Not like that massive, but at 553 weighted sum in 27th place, we have Hello Jasper.
The person who asked how many solves are between this and my solve.
Oof. Let me zoom back in. Probably don't need to zoom out for this one. Okay, so another register solve. And I can analyze how the register even works.
Oh, it retains one of the previous atoms and it does 2 passes through the register. That makes sense. One of the things in ELU was to use 2 atoms to make the register motion have a few more distinguished cases.
Yeah.
And this specific register is the exact same shape as mine.
Oh. Huh.
But yeah, ELU also has 2 inputs though. Like 2 computational inputs. Oh. It's not looping!
This is doing the same, like 2 + 2 + 1 thing that Cadsman solve is doing, it seems like, right? With those 2 atoms on the right, because they're added twice. Like they spin around and they spin around again.
I think it's doing current and previous, then it advances and it runs current and previous again. That just gives the more states to distinguish. The readout is still required to be something specific based on current and previous.
Right, because it resets between.
Oh, Hello Jasper's in chat wondering, did they not submit this solution that did loop?
I didn't receive it.
Does the one that loop has a lower metric or a higher metric score?
Oh, if it has a lower metric score, then no, there's nothing like within the vicinity of this solve that has that's by Hello Jasper. So I don't think you have. Nope, you haven't. I haven't received the solve unless you did last minute. Like last minute. Let me check that out. No. Oh, Utopi sent in a showcase solve. Guess how Jasper just forgot. But yeah. Anyways, next up we have at That's weird.
Ooh, Arm 10 is doing
Oh, never mind.
wraparound.
I thought there was a bug in my code because the next one is at 533, but there's like a bunch. I read it as 553, and there were like a bunch of solves in between them.
Ugh.
But no, it's fine. Next up we have in 26th place at 533, Fiesta.
Oh wow.
Ugh.
They were somebody who was very confident in their solution.
Oh, I
The
mean,
number would make you confident, but this is a different year.
indeed. Oh wait, I forgot to reset it back to starting with this test case. Starting with assault. Plus some. Oh yeah, Shadow Cluster set the description again.
So, yeah, I'm trying to read through Shadow Cluster's description of the algorithm, but this has been worked by the master so many ways that it's difficult to determine how it's working.
I wonder if Fiesta has actually sent me any description. There has. It's 110 lines. That's scary. It's a TXT file with 110 lines. Okay, but let me actually send a much more concise version of what they have.
Yeah, I feel like there's a class of computation solves like this that just have a bunch of glyphs in a big area, and stuff just moves around inside of them, and you have no idea what's going on.
It reads backwards, yeah. That's something Shadow Cluster mentioned, that reading backward is sometimes is a bit easier, so you're basically doing roll 1, 2, 4, I think, instead.
It has the exact same state machine, but it has different logic gates
Yeah, because
you get the salts first.
The bits that matter, basically you just take the bits that matter more first. Because honestly, the first bit doesn't actually matter that much most of the time.
Yeah, if you're doing an OR on the last 2 bits, unless it's fire, 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 then you'll want those first 2 bits first.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yeah, salts. The equivalent to doing an OR is checking if they are both salt.
Yeah.
It's interesting that 2 triplex bonded fires can end up as part of the output, and then the bond has to be broken.
Mm.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's why ARM 15 rotates a little bit extra onto that debonder.
Doesn't matter too much though. It's gotta wait anyways.
Ah, yeah, that's the FFS case, right? Oh, and it writes 2 fires at once. That's cool.
Oh, nice. Wait, how does it do that?
A certain condition is able to determine that you will have written a fire and will write another fire.
Right, because
I
it's
don't know exactly how that happens in this solve, but I know that there are formulations of 110 where that's true.
Yeah, the way it works is that it's trying to make to check for all 3 fires, it uses the triplex bonder at the top right. But if it just gets 2 fires instead of 3 fires and then a salt, those 2 fires that are triplex bonded together get swung over onto the output.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the case where you would have 2 fires in the output. Right?
Yeah. If it's triple fire, it's very likely that the next case also has fire. Well, probably not more than very likely. Alright. Next up, we have at 519 metric points in 25th place, Gecko. This was an interesting one.
Dupe to the left by 1, and then salt everything that was originally 3 fire. Absolutely.
Also OMC user.
I love it. Using the gear property of Alchemical Jewel in this? Oh no, it does seem to just rotate through the gaps in Alchemical Jewel. That's very cool.
Yeah, this is very symmetric
Yeah,
about
use the
Galaxy
big input.
Solve.
Cool.
This is such a big brain way of thinking about this problem. I'm impressed by this solve.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's just like all encoded in the like geometry of the thing that you're passing around.
Mhm. This is what I would consider one of 2 geometrical solves.
It's actually really cool.
You know, the thing I find more amazing is that 2 people found this. Goodbye Galaxy has pretty much the same thing, but much more efficient, which we'll see later.
Yeah, because I was looking at the output, I was like really worried that it might drop like a thing that's not the output over the output, but that never happens. The only way that
The only possible way that it would is salt, salt, salt. Like just all salt.
yeah, exactly.
And that's correct
Which
anyways, because the only thing that's doing that
Right.
process is calcifying. Which we can actually just check. Which means if this outputs immediately, that means it's variable in cycles. Yeah, it's variable in cycles.
That's really cool. Just an early exit condition having baked into the geometry.
just have to make sure that it's in the right rotation.
Yes, the all salt in the right rotation.
You brought the wrong salt. We're a fancy family who only uses Himalayan pink salt.
Only uses the flake salt, we make him weak -1.
True.
Alright, next up we have at 505 and 24th place, Buttermilk Donut. Oh, this was also a fun one.
Wolfram sails the river Styx, but Styx is spelled with S-T-I-C-K. Oh, this is really neat. What?
What?
So you're just literally reading out the 3 atoms across. That's
Oh.
This one's a fun one.
So it sets up a grid that has the information encoded in it, but it takes a little bit of space to do it, but no arms. Because it is bricking my heart. Buttermilk Donut, you have done well.
Yeah, but how?
The elusive extrusion solve.
Duplication in the middle does or easy solution to follow. I don't know how you think this is an easy solution to follow, Shadow Cluster.
Yeah, it's also pretty fast. 187 cycles is the first sub 200 we've seen this stream, right?
I'm not sure. I haven't been paying attention, but maybe?
Yeah, so the duplication is there so that it essentially does the OR gate of the last 2 atoms because it's taking the middle atom as an output. The only special case being the fire case, which gets rotated by arm. Is that arms 10 or 16 or something?
Duplications in 2
It's 10,
directions, though.
it's just one
That's how it
duplication.
makes the OR
onto
happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the middle atom, yeah, like Brookie was saying, the middle atom's the one that gets used as output, unless all three of them get triplex bonded
okay.
together, and it gets swung away. So it's
Yeah.
like,
If everything's triplex bonded together, that means the 111 case and you output a salt instead.
uh-huh.
Yeah, ARM 10 is taking care of the 111 calc. It'll swing the entire column if they're all triplex together.
Yeah. So that does it does that first, and then it takes apart what would be there if it wasn't swung away. That's a brick of salt coming in.
Computation mod makes this so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The computation mod is amazing. We actually get to see like the computation in action instead of just theoretically, oh, this would work if it was computation. With other inputs. Alright, next up we have at 503, really close, in 23rd place, Guilty by Standard.
Britboy called a
Oh.
pile up at 502, but there's another one before there.
Wait, is the next one at 502? Oh no, Britboy had a 502.
I like how the title is just barely too long for the screen.
That's so good.
I wonder if that's on purpose. It probably is. Oh wait, it might be that the text box. I don't know.
And
So Guilty
Three-
Bystander has replaced Cadspin's 5-arm track loop with 6 tracks in a perpetual loading wheel of epic awesomeness.
yes. I was gonna say I'm watching that like just mesmerized.
The loading wheel happens again. This isn't the only one.
Road engine. Go through.
But yeah, the loading wheel is amazing.
It does force it to do 6 cycles per atom readout, so a 36
Yeah,
cycle
true.
per product minimum.
They're just circling the fiery agent menacingly.
Well, I mean, couldn't it?
that's
You could do faster than 6 cycles per beat or whatever by just having an extra arm or 2 on there.
You're right, Mr. Puzzle. You are very right.
I think there's also the reset time though of the register.
Yeah.
That's probably the limiting factor, so they just decided to not add extra arms.
Right, because ARM 9, ARM 3, and ARM 4 are all doing the reset from whatever state back to the the 0 state when it increments by like 1, 2, or 3. And ARM 9 is limiting this to 6 cycles per loop because it has minus, 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 plus, plus, plus. Repeat.
Yeah, if you're doing a lookup table solve, one of the downsides is that you have to reset it compared to a state machine register. Find a state machine register.
I really like the tape on the arm on the top track that isn't side to side. The left plus minus, right plus minus on repeat that's touching a duplicator. The
Oh, you
intermediate readout.
You mean the dancing arm 10?
10, yeah. I couldn't see the number, but that's the one that I was saying is amazing.
Like
This has so much visual
this
awesome.
one dancing over here. Well, it's going to start. Yeah. That one.
It reads from the register and it has to pass that information off, but then also calcify. But it has to calcify on a different tile than it read from, or than it moved the information from the register.
It's got the cycles to spare. Alright. Next up we have at
It's
400.
got the cat energy of that, like,
Oh
The
wait,
cat that would come in off the side of the screen and bop to the music.
All right. Next up, we have at 497. We're starting with 4 now. At 22nd place, Britboy.
Wii U, 400s already. That would have been third place last year.
There's probably the difference that there's only 6 bits you have to process instead of 8.
I was just amused when Murakonda in Discord said that the number seems much higher this year than last year.
Oh boy.
I don't know that that's true.
I think this would have been fourth place actually.
You had 497
record
exactly, right?
Oh, really?
That's my memory of it. It might have been 497.
All I remember is I was sub 500. It was probably something like 497, yeah.
Out is read x plus y or read x plus y plus z minus 1 using a 3-atom register to read.
Oh yeah, the 3-atom register actually appears quite a bit. Let's watch it loop. It's taking a while to loop though.
There's a lot of junk to dispose. There's only one arm that can touch the disposal glyph.
I see.
So this has 2 parallel pipelines, and the 3-atom register is processing 3 different atoms of the input before it reads out. And it's storing the waste on screen from the right pipeline because getting it over the disposal costs more metric than it saves.
Yeah.
All of these smaller state machines, I'm wondering, did I miss a simpler state machine? But they are reading the input 2 or 3 times every time they interact with the state machine. And my ultimatum was that I'll only make a state machine if I can read exactly 1 atom every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you really want to get it down, like, the number of cycles you take for each atom.
Alright. Next up, we have at 493 metric points and 21st place, Mr. Puzzle. This is a
Shucks.
logic solve. Yeah, this is a logic gate solve, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I'm really proud that I can double read though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's double reading
this is
pretty
using the left
efficiently.
and the right
Cool.
side of the input.
That's like what Biggie was saying earlier about doing it in parallel, not with 2 different inputs with the same input.
So this is technically 2 pipelines, 2 reading pipelines, but it merges into 1 again.
It's using the
It's
wheel
also
as a
real fast.
register, but it also moves it in the direction the register would move it so that it can be in a guaranteed position for the other uncertain side. Wild.
What is? Oh.
So the incomplete wheel is the duping at the last part is also like turning
Right,
an
so-
incomplete wheel into like a full wheel.
Yeah, so the 3 duplicators on the right, that's the OR machine. To make sure that 3 fires is processed correctly, we just don't include the atom, and then that can't hold any fire information.
Yeah. And I guess that's it. Straight logic
It's
solves are
actually-
easy to understand.
It's actually really neat.
It's also pretty balanced on the surface for the weighted sum metric because the effective cost is 180-ish. Closer to 190. No, I'm dividing by 5 wrong. 150-ish. But yeah, it's between the cycles in the area.
That's a pretty bad solve. Unfortunately, I don't know if there are solves that out Pareto this. There probably will be.
Mine does.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. I know mine is cheaper, faster, and smaller.
So yeah.
I know you released that 5 was a bad first digit, and I'm like, okay, is that like 50th percentile, or is that like IE bad?
No, it's
So it's 50.
23 people
percentile.
who had 500 or more. Or 23 people who had less than 500.
24 people. No? Wait, no. 22 have less than 500.
Right.
Well, 22... There's also Shadow Cluster, so 23.
Depending on the argument, Shadow Cluster may or may not count as people in this world.
Alright, next up we have in 20th place at 491 metric. Pile-ups are happening, Bambi. Ludicrous spin. Okay, this one I had a hard time understanding at all.
I'm just gonna say that I'm just
Another
so
fast one.
I'm so surprised at how close these scores are.
Yeah.
Like in ELU we had like people in I think there was like a kind of large pile up around the 500, like the high 500 cycles ish. But even those pile ups were like like 5 to 10 points apart, and there weren't that many. But here we're seeing like a solution every like 5 points and 2 points and 1 point. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta compress 30 people into
Remember
the same
the
sort of...
double typing, not the double typing, the multiple typing I revealed? Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm just... Yeah, I thought that because of, I had ELU to work off of and there were no ties in ELU, I thought it was kind of like weighted sum prevented most ties, but I guess I'm wrong. I'm like, there's so
I think it's
many...
more so just the puzzle was difficult and coincidence, probably.
I'm impressed by this algorithm because it initially inverts the wheel, and then it detects 3 fires in a row by detecting 3 salts in a row somehow.
Finder doesn't even remember their score.
So to have a salt on the wheel that is inverted, there needs to have been 3 fire in a row on the input. That's how the triple fire detector is done using OR gates and NOT gates. That's really cool.
Alright, next up we have at 489 metric points in, not metric points, 489 metric at 19th place, we have Andrish K. Oh, that's cheap. That's very cheap.
Oh.
Oh wow, this one's cheap and small, but it does lose a few cycles for it.
Yeah, 312 is still really fast though.
Alright, so that's the OR gate action there. And that's the
Triple
that's
fire
the
detector.
one-on-one case. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, that's all you need. It's also no disposal.
Oh, it just re-suppresses it so that it has 2 wheels kind of trading off holding onto atoms.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very
Input glyph
pretty.
is the disposal, apparently.
Oh,
Does
that's
mean you
clean.
need ARM 8 though.
Yes, solely for the purpose of returning to that tile.
Yeah, so that's an extra 4 dispense. I mean, I guess it's cheaper than the expense you would need for area though. Not the area for disposal though. Because disposal is a lot more expensive with this weighted submetric. It's 7 area. That would have gotten you 35 cost.
If you were to tell me the disposal costs almost as much as a piston, it would blow my mind.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the main problem is, in most cases, you can overlap the disposal's used area with an arm swings area. So usually it's not straight up an extra 7 cost.
Yeah, but also to be fair, most of the time the arms swing. Taking up a lot
Yeah,
of
you
area
won't be
as
able
well.
to get to that center tile unless you plan around it.
I wonder if there's a variant of this solve that uses a triangle track instead of the piston so that it doesn't have to reset 2 times.
Maybe?
Yeah, just cut the core loop down to 5.
Uh-huh.
Probably is, because there's definitely geometry for it, just not the way it's set up right here.
Yeah. Oh right, username void arrived. Yeah, you got last because well, competition is fierce. Last year high was like 12,000 subs. Second to last was 1,000. Yeah. Yeah, Kubiala didn't submit this year. Alright, next up in would be 19th place because Jinyu doesn't Jinyu isn't scoring at 488 metric score. Jinyu.
I'm curious, Jinyu's algorithm. It's definitely
It's triple fire detector and then organ.
smart and engineering brain focused person. Oh yeah, there's just a counting stick at the bottom. Nice.
Yeah, and if it's if there's 3 fire, arm 12, the salt on arm 12 is duplicated into fire, and it moves the fire and turns it into salt. That's all it does.
Arms 7, 8, 9, and 10 all validly grabbing, because as soon as they start to do a move that might conflict with another arm, that arm is already let go. It's a very cool like ripple effect.
I like how arm 12 is just going all the way around.
Yeah. There's just enough glyphs to do that. This one's a really simple algorithm. Oh, it doesn't even fully reset. I like that. Oh, right. That's because it doesn't actually work properly.
Ooh.
It doesn't loop properly. Well, it works properly, but it doesn't loop properly.
It loops just enough to keep showing the machinery, but it will not make the right output.
Also, we have the loading thing again, except it kind of just stops every once in a while, and it's circling Critelli instead.
It's a 7 cycle per readout loop, so it doesn't get to do the same pace that Guilty Bystanders did, where it was perpetual motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that Jinyu did this, he doesn't have like a wand that allows him to do that reset super. I guess he couldn't do the reset in 6 cycles because you have to have 1 cycle for the grab.
Right, yeah. Oh, right, I forgot. Alright, next up we have at 487. Pileups.
Oh my goodness.
Pileups everywhere. B. Smith in 18th place. And it's a double pipeline.
Oh wow, really?
Well, double pipeline by reading both sides at once.
Cool, the kind of double pipeline I like to see. Also using the inputs as disposal again, but calcifying them so that you can be guaranteed that they're safe. I like it a lot.
Wait, so what is impulse? Oh, they're all salt. Okay.
And the way it's checking for 3 is really simple too, because it just triplex bonds all 3 of them together and pulls it all down if they're all bonded together
Yeah.
to turn those 2 things into salt. Although, does it only need to turn one of them into salt?
I don't know, let me check.
Oh no, because it
It looks like it's recycling atoms.
yeah,
the
if it
triple.
would get recycled back to a fire incorrectly.
Oh. Yeah, it outputs the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The calcification glyph only hits one of them.
Mhm.
Or I guess 2 of them.
Mhm.
It misses one of them.
Alright. Next up, we have at 477 a 10 metric drop in 17th place, Fire.
Ooh. Looping and not crashing.
This is reminiscent of an anime solve.
And username void solve, honestly. It's wanding the entire input and using the presence of the input in a specific position to figure out the output. I think this is very similar to username void solve.
What was username solves like? I only remember anime solve.
Username voids was the very first one where it was basically throwing around the input in this giant loop, and it would be in either of 2 positions at the end, which can output a fire or a salt.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Except this one is done a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, this one pays attention to how long it takes to repeat the process. Username voids just needed the process to repeat.
Yeah. Algorithms in the title. I can't read that though. Somebody else is gonna
You
have
don't
to.
read ternary operators for fun? If C is salt, then B. Otherwise, A equals B equals fire, salt, otherwise fire.
I noticed that I don't really understand it when it's read out like in English either.
Oh.
I need to think on that.
It's basically an if-else statement but written as a C one-liner. The question mark means that the if is to the left of this and the first thing you do if true is on the right of it. Colon ends the thing that is done on true and starts the thing that is done on false.
If A, then B, else C. Okay. No clue.
It's done in a lot of really you don't want to read this code programming languages like C. I think you're allowed to do it in Python, but they'll smack you.
It's useful if one of the cases is really simple, like if it's null, then return 0, otherwise do a thing.
Right.
You can write it all in one line.
Oh, Utopia says they like did the same made a drawing of their solve, which is almost the same as this one. Concept wise. Oh, right, if I press Alt, that thing appears. Watch it go. Alright. Next up, we have in 15th place at 468. Some, because it's a tie.
We're gonna.
A tie.
Oh.
We have Madmaster
Oh.
and Goodbye Galaxy. We'll start with Madmaster. Two significantly different solves.
Hmm.
Because I know what Goodbye Galaxy solve looks like. Okay, so this is waste chaining because I guess that's worth it.
Oh, that's a lot of waste.
Yeah.
That's 42 atoms of waste. It goes fast, so it's like not feasible to try to put those atoms in the disposal, but
That's like a
that's
third of
42
the
cycles
entire
of waste.
area.
So,
Yo,
how does
what
this
is the
affect
cadence?
triple fire? If triple fire happens, it calcifies the bottom half? And it...
It says if C is salt, output B. If C is fire, output A NAND B.
Oh yeah, Madmaster wrote an entire Google document explaining their solve.
It's interesting that this is one of the first ones we see that's getting kind of close to that 144 cycle 6 times 4 times 6 theory.
Uh-huh. There are faster solves than 144, I'll say that.
Faster submissions?
Yes.
Cool. I wonder if they're faster than my fast solve, which would make me feel silly.
We'll have to see about that. As a report, yes. Alright, next up, Goodbye Galaxy solve. So this is familiar.
Oh yeah.
How I learned to stop worrying and love Critelli. This is a redemption arc?
I find it amazing how this one doesn't crash into each other, though.
And gold isn't even used or crashed into. It's just chilling.
Yeah. Oh, Critelli makes a heart with the output, I see. And the gold. Gold is just a fancy Critelli that you happen to be able to crash into. Yeah, this is fast. Compared to Not Great Solve. Was it Not Great that also did this? No, Gecko, compared to Gecko's solve.
So Goodbye Galaxy is checking for the 3 cases where output atom is not identical to input atom. So it's geometrically based, but it's using a different algorithm. It's not using a 111 detector that Gecko's was.
I also just looked at Shadow Cluster description. The first sentence is, "What the fuck is this?" I guess, yeah, no, Shadow Cluster went from the highest scoring solves to the lower scoring solves, so he saw this one before he saw Gecko's solve.
Yeah, the swing over the gold is just, yeah, it's just a hex that's covered by arms.
Yeah. Such a cheeky little gold sitting there. I love this algorithm. How did you come up with this, by the way, Goodbye Galaxy? And, like, how is there 2 people that came up with the exact same algorithm?
It's not the same as Gecko's, though, is it?
It looks mostly
It's not the same algorithm. It's the same conditional. It's just the same.
Yeah.
Stick a fire on the thing to make a geometric condition.
Right. But like it's checking for 3 by shifting over 3 times by 3 arms, which I don't think Gecko's did.
Alright. Next up, we have in 14th place at 462 metric, JoJo. Oh. Arms. This is reminiscent of one of my donut songs now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm impressed JoJo did this
But
well
also
with
not.
what looks to be I guess, like a solve built out of possibility and not out of optimization.
Oh, I like how the waist chain just is being extruded in covered area.
Oh yeah.
How much waste does this generate?
I don't know, but waist is also variable, so this is interesting. Oh wait, no, it probably isn't variable actually. No,
Every
yeah, waist
waste
is
that
not
could
variable.
exist is covered by the arms, right?
Yeah,
That's not true.
but
Sometimes
like,
it
you
needs
can also
something
just
that
make the
isn't in
arm
the-
shorter. Maybe.
It has two output waste per read, and there's 12 atoms that they could sit on.
This is a funny song.
Yeah, the algorithm here really is pretty simple. It just
Triple fire.
dupes, yeah, and then triplexes, and then duplicates for the ore, and then shifts up for the calcifying in case of 3.
Yeah. This algorithm can get you quite far.
Yeah, why does it pause on the track like that?
No idea.
Oh, it's because they have to grab again to advance.
Also, one thing I was gonna say but forgot to, but like the tie thing that I mentioned, like in the Discord, that there's multiple ties. I didn't know that was true at the time I said it. I knew there was at
He
least
just wanted to rile us up.
yeah, I knew there was at least one tie, but I didn't know about multiple. But yes, there are multiple ties.
I like how this one executes when it's the all fire wheel. It pulls a whole 6 chunk of fire away.
Oh no, that's not one. This one's all fire wheel. Oh, yeah.
Arm 20's been lifting.
Alright, next up we have a slight bit of a drop into 454. In 13th place, Cavalier. Lovely branches. Oh, it's a Christmas tree. Okay, interesting. There's 2 registers. And they look different. What?
I am uncertain what I am looking at here. This is a different kind of hybrid state machine and gate. It's
Why?
providing an OR. It's like the right register is providing an OR target. There's a lot of Boolean
is
algebra
it a
and
triple
shadow
wire
clusters.
detector and a OR detector as the 2 different registers? And an OR gate as the 2 registers?
Oh, you could. Yeah. Okay, so you can use a register for an OR gate by just counting to see if you get 1. But how do you? Yeah, you can do an exclusive OR register by just counting 1, but then you need to do the 011 case, which. Yeah, so I think the left one is an exclusive OR.
Oh.
And then the right side, I think, is a 011 case check.
Huh. And if it moves up, it dips into fire. Interesting.
I appreciate Shadow Cluster's effort making a Boolean algebra statement out of this, but wow.
The Boolean algebra statement looks difficult to read.
I guess I'm wrong. Left one looks for 10Z01Z. Oh, okay. Well, that is essentially an exclusive OR of the first 2 bits. What?
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting choice. Alright. Next up, we have at 450 in 11th place. Now, I found this funny because Morikano was one of the persons who didn't believe that they were that there were ties, and they are in a tie.
That's awesome.
Morikano and Velvet came both at 450 in 11th place.
That's exciting.
That reminds me of a comment from last year's ELU, who said that they'll bet what is it, like epsilon points if there is a tie versus no tie. And I think someone replied like, well, that's a no-brainer to take, because if I take the bet and I bet that there are ties, then the epsilon points might actually make a difference. But if you win and there are no ties, then your epsilon points are worthless.
Right.
Big brain.
I really like the rolling arm. This has the same arm that Mr. Puzzle's solution to ELU had.
Oh,
the doggy paddle arm?
Yeah, the rotate, translate, rotate back,
Over
translate
here.
back.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that implementation of the NOT gate, the rowing
Right,
NOT
yeah.
gate.
This gets also very close to that 144 cycle 6 times 4 times 6. Or just 6 times 4.
Oh, it's 163. Yeah, this one's fast. We're in 11th place now.
Oh, but it's a 25 loop. Nice. Ha! Velvicane and Morikanda both got a 1 metric point save by getting 6T, so they both fought for the same metric point from 451 to 450.
Yeah. Alright, next up, also in 11th place, we have Velvicane. At... Oh, the exact... No, not the exact same metrics. Quite different. I was just reading Velvicane's other solve. Yeah. This one's much more compact, so it's a different set of metrics, but they just happen to line up. This one's a fire counter.
This one fills the screen a lot better.
This one's chip optimized.
So this one's running at basically input speed on the salt that is measuring duplication off the input. So it's going to be limited to 36 loop or more. I think there's some reset time.
Yeah. So this one is slower, but it's much more compact, and I don't know, it's cheaper too, yeah, a lot cheaper.
Shadow Cluster's numbers of 6 cycles per read, 6 reads per input, and 1 reset cycle. So this is a 37 loop.
But, yeah. So, since we're entering top 10, I was thinking we can have a short break. And also hear y'all's predictions on top 10.
Oh,
Not top 10,
that's
top
so
3, top
hard.
3.
Top
While y'all do that,
3.
I'm gonna go use the restroom real quick. So, be right back.
Top 3 is going to be very interesting.
I'm going to say I'm not in the top 3, but I should be still not in the close to... I shouldn't come up soon.
Really? Really?
What?
I would have placed you, like, second place.
That might still be true. I don't know how many drops we're still going to see. But I do feel like there are enough different approaches with different merits to them in this results stream that I'm not feeling the confidence I felt during the ELU reveal. Good point. Not Great has made a rather lofty claim in Discord.
What did Not Great say?
They said they may have found the global optimal algorithm.
Alright, yeah, what are y'all's predictions?
I boldly put myself outside of top 3, but I'm still not sure who takes those spots.
Josh,
I
guess Biggie, Penta, and someone.
who's left? Pentapig is left.
Pentapig,
I don't know. Did
all
Spec submit?
Yes,
Rolami-
Spec Idea
Ro-
did submit. Rolami has also submitted. Newest
Is
Chart also has
Newchart-
submitted. Yes.
Okay. There's me.
There's you, yeah. Panic has not submitted, I believe.
Yeah, no, I have.
I want to know whether Shadow Cluster or I are doing better between the two of us.
Morakanda,
I'm gonna predict
I'm
that I
asking
beat
top
Shadow
3.
Cluster.
You're guessing 4 people.
Not on area.
Did Zorflax submit?
No.
Okay.
And also don't expect Zorfax to get like a... yeah, I don't expect Zorfax to submit for computation either.
Icy top 3 is Not Great, Newchart, and Brookie. Oh.
Wow, confident, huh?
No, that's what Zorflax said. I don't know about how confident I am. I'm not too confident.
Okay. Let me actually look at it.
Like, I feel like I have a good solve, but I don't know if it's top 3 good. I'll have to see, though. I'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in finding out what Shadow Cluster writes about mine because I've never tried to make it into Boolean algebra.
You want to see like how Shadow Cluster like dissects it into Boolean algebra?
Does it start with Biggie, why do you do this to yourself again?
Maybe. Alright, guess we're moving on to top 10. First off, we have at 430 sub, that's a 20 metric drop. In 10th place, we have Tweedledee.
Nice.
For not liking this puzzle, you're performing pretty well. You know, triple fire detection goes far. This is a triple fire detection OR gate, right?
I'm seeing the atom that is... I don't know what this is. Test each triplet in turn. It does do a detection for triple fire. Otherwise it tries to project X or Y. Waste handling is the main reason it's not a higher score.
Well, yeah, so it's triple fire detecting and otherwise OR. Wait, or X or Y? Not Y or Z? Huh.
I was trying to figure out what was going on in the bottom left with the calcifier, and then I realized that's just the previous input. So the calcifying is being done to give you a guaranteed solve.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the ones that reuse the previous input for the next template, those will be the hardest to make loop.
Yeah.
ARM 17 only does output delivery to save on area.
Maybe it's also in charge of keeping the loop tight.
Maybe.
It could be a factor.
It's a 5-cycle repeat, so it's a
Yeah, definitely.
30-cycle loop in total. Maybe
Salt.
32, because it has to get the old input out of the way.
Salt like sounds like a video game subgenre.
It resembles League of Legends. It's a
I was
salt-like.
gonna say that. If MOBAs are salt likes, that's a new name for the genre. Alright, next up we take another drop into 416 in 9th place by Spec98.
Yeah, these drops are why I wasn't that confident putting myself in the top 3.
The Denkis was short-lived. This used to be a 420.
Gotcha.
Okay, triple fire detector. Otherwise an OR gate. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, it does the slapstick. That's
It's also recycling.
probably going to be...
I like how it recycles though. Like the bottom pipeline is recycling inputs. No, it's using the input as a disposal. That's funny.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it for area. This is a very well planned out solution.
Also, yeah, that's a really nice 111 detector. Using the slapstick. It's just a clean solve. A clean solve with a simple algorithm.
And 6 arms, the sum favorite.
Yep. 6 arms do have the disadvantage of limiting yourself to 3 per loop, 3 per bit though. Because surprise, it can go faster than 3 per bit. And
This
it
is
may
a
be an
gold train.
advantage. Alright, the gold is it. the gold input also acts as the disposal of it.
The gold train is pretty cool.
Alright, next up in 8th place, we have 410 magic. At 410 weighted sum. In 8th place, we have Pentapig.
Alright.
And yeah,
So at least now I know...
yeah.
He's going to win the tournament with that one. There's no
Yeah.
chance I catch.
Yeah. But yeah, congratulations to Trader Lee for getting 10th place, Smet98 for getting 9th, and congratulations to Pentapig for getting 8th. I can't tell which algorithm this is. It's a triple. Oh, it's triple fire detecting.
Shadow Cluster's first statement about Pentapigs is, does things differently. And Pentapig's own statement about this machine was, it's going to be difficult to tell what it's doing from watching it run.
Wait, so what is it doing? It's got triple fire detecting, but I don't see an OR gate.
The machine detects 2 salts in a row or 3 fires in a row. If either trigger, then it is salt.
Oh, okay. If it detects 2 salts in a row, then yeah, that's the OR gate then.
It replicates the first 2 atoms because it needs to test 8 times per input.
Alright, it needs to pull it 2 extra because of the loop.
Yeah, this is a 34 cycle loop because it has to do 4 cycles per read and 2 cycles additional for logic. I'm not seeing where. I'm seeing no delays in ARM 10, for example. Shadow Cluster, is this the same solution that you're describing? This looks like a 32 to me.
It may have been updated. I don't know.
It might have been updated because the ARM numbers also don't match up. ARM 8 is small and ARM 14 isn't pulling from fire.
Oh yeah, Shadow Cluster says it's probably not the same solve. Alright, that makes a lot more sense then. Pentapig was
So he was able to cut the loop down from a 34 to a 32.
So Pentapig was also the same person who did a input conditional last time as well, right?
Yeah, having something moving over the input so
I
that it
see
becomes
he's using it
a
again.
fire if it was nothing.
Uh-huh. It's pretty powerful.
The single atom input suppression was something I considered as well. It seems really cool on this puzzle specifically.
Alright, next up, we head into 7th place. Biggie, your solution name is an apt description of the...
Really, the
What's
nosedive
coming
is
up?
all the way down to 387.
Yes!
Oh wow!
Biggie's solution name is another nosedive. It's 387 in 7th place. Congratulations
Wow.
to Biggie for getting 7.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't try to predict myself as top 3, but that's amazing.
Okay, yours fits the screen well. I like that.
Yeah,
It's a
this was
wacky
cheap, but it
register.
is a 32 loop, so it does have a pretty fundamental limit that I figured faster solves will end up beating. This is like basically the ELU register, but I have a slightly different state machine being implemented.
It's also like moving around pretty wildly.
Yeah, it pulls the stick off axis to get the 3 states to perform the right transitions. I have an Imgur album talking about exactly the state machine and how it does it, what it does. I thought once I got under 400, I was confident that I would be on a good solution, but 7th place, very good, everyone else.
7th place isn't bad.
I'm just so surprised that you're using the apex of the triangle to do the sensing, and then you wand it over 2 debonders. Because I thought like using just like the straight movement of a register would be easier to handle, but yeah,
it didn't allow me to distinguish 0 cases from 1 cases fast enough.
Ah.
So I found that this was the way I could get a 4-cycle loop on read, and I couldn't find better. There's probably better. Reader 010 out is read. Oh yeah, Shadow Cluster had to use some pretty intense ternaries in my Boolean interpretation because there's a duplicator underneath the growing output that helps pass fire across to the neighbor in 1 case on the readout. If you look at the duplicator closest to ARM 6, whenever that fires, it's trying to pass the condition that was read from the input too late.
But yeah, I think, Biggie, I think your limiting factor is the fact that you limiting yourself to only 1 read per input bit.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because there are solves coming up that read more than one time per bit. Mostly for resetting the register. They read the extra time to reset the register, so it's basically fire counting.
I see. I'm excited to see them.
Yeah, we'll see those later. I don't know what's up next though, but next up we have in 6th place at 385. Biggie, you were so close.
Oh my
I did
goodness.
a lot of trimming. I got from 413 to 387.
Cuckoo 52.
And it passed Pentapig, but that's it.
Process sequential. There's no register in this one. But it's like fast. It's like very fast. 164 cycles. Yeah, that just works.
Yeah. Big arm track loop. Oof.
Oh, but like, Shadow Clutch is saying dies of the inside on the waist chain. It's not that long. Oh, that's where Crichetti is. Okay.
Very nice Cotelia.
Oh.
But yeah, I guess it's detecting the 3 fires just with a normal bonder because that's the way the fires go.
Mm. Mhm. Salt is just passing the other direction, so you don't need a triplex there.
Mm-hmm. It's just like a sieve.
Just very efficient implementation of the triple fire detection, otherwise 4-gate algorithm. I also like how it only does the aura when the previous has fire.
That's true. It's opportunistic, or
Yeah.
only doing it when it will actually influence another atom's state.
Mhm. I like it solved. It's easy to understand. Oh, that's my medicine alarm. Yeah. Next up, we have at 380 in 5th place. Not great. Congratulations to Not Great for getting 5th place.
Yeah, big congrats.
Not exactly top 3, but still doing pretty well. Register. Pretty long one though. Yeah, reading each input twice.
Oh, on the right and the left. That's something.
Oh, 2 duplication glyphs. Oh.
I think this is pretty neat. Wow. Very fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 123 cycles.
So this is faster than my single pipeline cycle. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Not Great had a good reason to suspect this algorithm was great, but I think there's
Okay, yeah, this
some
is the
details in it
fastest
that are
solve.
not optimized. Yeah, this moves so fast.
Uh-huh.
Very fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately expensive.
Yeah. But, like, it is faster.
Yeah.
So all you need to do is cut down on the area, cut down on the cost, and you have a very good solver in your hands. I like how the disposal is, like, sometimes covered, but it still works. What, is it sometimes covered?
Yeah, it's sometimes covered, but the arms that move the atoms into the disposal always do it when the arm's moving to the right
Yeah.
side.
Mm-hmm, optimal algorithm for questionable local optimization, possibly. We'll see. We'll see.
It's really cool that you were able to pass my like pretty well refined bad algorithm on algorithm alone. That's something that I do to other people way more than I have done to me.
Alright, next up we have in 4th place at 378 metric, Evanov.
Oh,
That's it? No, that's it. Not in the same relative position. Okay. Okay, this one's the 3 fire register stick. I said this one was coming back. Is there no calcification?
This is one that I want to understand better, because it looks like everything I wanted, but it's faster and smaller. This out-burritos me fully.
Wow.
It only is reading 1 bit, but it manages to make a short register work.
Yeah, the reset. I'm just trying to figure out how the states are read in. The 2 duplication scheme is definitely something I really didn't think about, and that's like really
maybe
throwing
the
me
2
off.
duplication scheme is like the trick. We can try to understand what Shadow Cluster has written. The register's position is dependent on Y only. Oh, that's powerful.
There's 2 duplications that in total cover all 5 1 cases in the output. That's a very powerful algorithm. Yeah, this seems to have nothing wasted except for the disposal process on the input. That looks like it's the sore thumb.
Yeah.
This makes me really excited for what the winning solution looks like, because all these times I'm seeing something that's, oh, this is better. Oh, this is better. What's the better version of the better thing?
Uh-huh. Alright. Next up, we have a solve by, in 3rd place, by Rolomni, at a bit of a drop at 364 metric.
Hey, he just barely eclipsed the ELU number.
Congratulations to Rolomni for getting 3rd place and tying Biggie from last year.
365 was what I submitted. 364 was only after Jinyu took off 1 point.
Ah, I see. Beating what Biggie submitted. Okay, this is basically Knockring's algorithm.
Yeah, the double
Except it's a shorter register stick.
Right, because it's counting by taking the edges. Like you add on one edge and then you subtract on the other, and you keep the count of those things. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't loop. I forgot about that. It's the fire counting algorithm. That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, congrats, Rolomni. Yeah, you came back in style.
Rolomni did this in 2 days. Probably 1 day. But like he had a whole time, like Rolomni was on vacation, but like was probably planning this thing in his head the whole time.
And everything about the solve makes sense when I see it. I think this is better than I expected could be done for the puzzle, but I'm very happy to see it.
Alright, next up we have at 362 metric. In 2nd place, we have Nuashar.
Alright, Brookie winning.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, okay, let me delete that one. So that means Brookie has a perfect average score.
True.
Also, anyways, the 3 fire register stick again. This is the same as Ebanov's algorithm.
Wow.
Except it only has 1 duplication.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, because it leaves the atom on the duplication during the pivot, so it can cover both sides.
Ah, I see.
Hmm.
That's cheaper then.
Zorflax enters, wins, refuses to elaborate, leaves.
Also, keep in mind, Shadow Quest result hasn't appeared.
Oh, that's true.
Oh.
Shadow Cluster might actually be yeah, best solution.
Okay,
just
yeah,
like
Shadow Cluster just beat you.
Yeah.
But, next up, we have, in first place, at 1 metric point better than this one, brookieoz.
Yep, 361. It's 5 gold cheaper, 1 cycle more, but I cut 1 area.
Okay, so what is your algorithm? It looks
Okay,
different from the
so-
previous ones that are around
So-
this score.
This is actually a almost direct implementation of what I did for Space Chem, but in Opus Magnum. Yeah, so one thing that I noticed was, in Space Chem, I had a Waldo that was, like, essentially it would store 2 bits, like the previous 2 bits, in memory by its position, and it would read the next bit and transition to another state, but that transition would get you either a 1 or a 0. But the big thing that I realized from Space Chem was that the 0-0 state and the 1-0 state are equivalent. So because of that, I could collapse them, and that's why I have a reset from. Well, okay, so I enumerated my states A, B, C, and D, which is going to make no sense except to Biz.
I'll be honest,
but essentially,
I haven't read closely your descriptions.
Yeah, so if you look at the top gold atom that's kind of in the range of ARM 2, the gold atom, if that's on the debonder, that's state A. If it's on the equilibrium glyph, that's state B. On the bonder would be state C, and the Critelli indicates state D. So every time I scan an input atom, it will increment the state over by 1, but it will dip down first so I can check for my salt, which essentially is reading a 0, and then ARM 2 and ARM 5 would either grab or bond, and that would reset it back to the 0-0 case or the 1-0 case, which is position A.
Oh, and they also
position-
both reach debonder at the same time, because one of them requires
Yes.
grab, one of them is just bonding. It's just
Yes,
bonding.
so I had a previous solution that was a 3-cycle inner loop, but that requires a wand on both the B to A reset and a wand from the C to A reset. But the C to A reset would require 2 arms and a 5-track loop because it couldn't go back fast enough. And ARM 8 is doing the D to C reset. So state D happens when I read 1-1 and then I read another fire atom. So that is the 1-1 case, and that will read 0. So that actually puts the gold atom over the duplication glyph and reads assault. But now it's in, the 1-1 case, and it's in a, state D, and I need to reset that back to state C. So that's how that works.
You and I are doing the exact same state machine, actually, except you kept the 4 states all distinct, and I physically collapsed the 2 states that had the same interpretation. Yours allowed you to do a better movement, and so it's a lot cleaner and cheaper.
There were some last well, I guess not really last minute, but it was last week I had a epiphany that actually made me save 12 metric points and jumped me way above. It was that ARM 1, I realized, so when I reset the register to state A, which is a 0-0 case, and I do my first 2 reads for a setup, I know that the state will never be at state B or C. So the first arm can go straight from reading the fire atom to shifting the register directly instead of having to dip down and check for the B to A reset and the C to A reset. And similarly, for the very last one, I don't care about checking for assault because it wouldn't move the register anyway, so it shifts right over, and that saves 2 cycles per loop over like 6 for 5 inputs, and that dropped me like a whole 10 metric points down to 361. Actually, the very last couple of very last like 2 metric points that I saved was just trying to figure out what's a better place to move the finished input to a good place to throw into the disposal.
So I saved 26 metric points when I changed from keeping it as a wheel and then disposing it later to actually disassembling it in place. I wonder if there's a savings to be done on the solution by doing that.
Not
So
this specific order, right?
the answer for this is no, because I had one of my previous solutions, the 3-cycle inner loop one. It had a I disassembled it first, and I had the disposal like right over top of like the drop point.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Same as mine.
the problem was I needed like 2 extra arms and a 3-track to do the wraparound.
Yeah, I needed
I
an
was-
feedback for that too.
I was thinking about like trying to figure out a way to do it for this as well, but I just couldn't find a way to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Congratulations to Brookie and your perfect average score.
I was looking at the sum going down. I was like, "There's no way that like there's like 5 people between like 370 and 361." I'm like, ah.
Yeah. But anyways, Shadow Cluster has a 338.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Amazing.
This is not great and Rolandi's algorithm, except like done even more like efficiently.
Yeah, that algorithm has opened my eyes to how the fast solutions to this look.
Holy track loops.
It's 1 cycle
So pretty.
slower than not great's solve. This used to be the fastest solve. Oh, it doesn't
I'm
loop.
just surprised. I'm just surprised at how much. Yeah. Okay. So it's not that compared to what I had as my 3-cycle loop. It's not that much more expensive, and it's actually a little bit smaller area. So that makes sense. It's just happening to. It's a way to do
It
2.
happens to be 2 per bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that would drop.
Oh
what is
yeah,
that?
y'all are probably glad that Shadow Cluster isn't scoring.
He didn't touch his solution until or after he spoiled himself, at least according to Discord.
Yeah, he didn't, but he still doesn't get points though.
This is a legit solution that would have been submitted had this been
Yes,
Shadow Cluster as a scoring for
it
Discord.
would be.
Right. Yeah, so it would have been like 48 metric lower-ish, and that makes sense.
That would have just
Yeah.
ruined a lot of your scores. Not
The
that it really
absolute
matters
speed
because
that
you're
this
not
algorithm
comparing
works-
against Shadow Cluster.
Yeah, 3 people found this secret sauce. Everyone, like a lot of people were using registers, but I was trying to make registers work using a state machine that I couldn't figure out how to do efficiently. And Shadow Cluster and Rolomni and Not Great found the actual register that works.
Mm-hmm.
Casman says this is what her solution was to be. But yeah, that means we can get along with the score review. Let me open that up. Let's see. solves. No, Opus tool CSV. Major. I'm gonna have to do a bit of processing since I don't have automatically adding 10 points, so I have to make a file that just says 10 for everyone. Oh wait, I might need to reload this. It's taking a bit longer this time. One moment. Oh, it seems like I already have the right thing here. Alright. Here we go. So yeah, congratulations to Pentavic for getting first place in the tournament, Bakey Mac for getting second, Ronami for getting third, Noah Char for getting fourth place, and Mr. Puzzle for fifth, Velva King for sixth, Fine Gear for seventh, Evanov for eighth, Username Void for ninth, and Goodbye Galaxy for 10th. And
Hey, Goodbye Galaxy snuck in there.
Username Void kept his top 10 despite having only 1.396 points in week 9. That's pretty impressive.
Pentapig and I both had lower than 9-point final weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, that would.
Oh, and it brought my average score down to 8.998.
Oh no. Oh, it's blocked by the stream. Y'all can just go to the sheet itself. Oof. So Pentavig is the only one with an average score above 9 this time. Oh, I mean, other than Biggie. Not Biggie, other than Brookie. With that fat 10 over there. Okay, who has a... Why is this negative 10? That's weird. Oh no, that's just a speck on my screen, never mind.
Perfect average score.
Joins the tournament, wins, leaves, refuses to collaborate. Yeah, that's pretty much what Brookie's doing. So Shadow Cluster does not get more than 10 points. Because I capped the metric
because it's
points off at
recomputing
5.
with them in... Yeah.
Yeah. I capped the metric points off at 5 as well. Oh, wait, Papa Mouse and Glass Lady doing some... I need to update that. One moment. Format, conditional formatting. Yeah, count blank to further. Okay, there we go. Update the formatting a bit. But, yeah. That's the scores for now. And we'll be finishing off with a few showcases. Well, I say a few, there's quite a lot of showcases actually. A lot of people says I can ignore the showcases. I'm gonna have to,
I think I still want both of mine to be seen. Definitely TI.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
actually,
fast one won't be the fastest we've seen, but it'll be the fastest triple fire detector with the specific way I'm doing it.
Mhm. Okay, there we go. Weird. Why is it? Somebody submit a showcase that takes forever. Because the showcase file is taking a while to actually load up. Oh, wait, right, we have Steven. There's a Steven showcase. I think that might be the
Oh
problem.
no.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
As he said it had 75 arms and was able to get 1 atom of the output correct.
Okay, I'm gonna. Since my showcase file is still parsing the solutions, okay, guess I have to remove that.
Yeah, Steven's ELU solve last year was it was incredible, but it was also very taxing on my computer.
Yeah. You could
Uh.
just drag all this files into the Opus Magnum folder in F10.
Nah, I just changed everything to. I originally had the game simulate the metrics, but I'm just having it parse them instead now.
Mm.
I'm still tickled that my title, Another Nosedive, was accurate. I got the Biggie curse right this time.
Wait, is it not loading even if it's being parsed? Is AHK broken?
When I submitted my solution, I was part of me was like was considering naming it "Take That Biggie" because
Oh, wait,
I beat last year's
the-
365.
I changed the last. I changed the wrong file. That was pretty stupid of me. I changed the. Yeah. Parse
But yeah,
cost.
I was just elated at getting below 365 more than anything else. I actually didn't expect it to take first place.
Okay, yeah, that's much faster. Okay, we'll be starting with Steven then. Work in progress when you're low on salt but have a whole warehouse of full parts. Warehouse full of parts. Yeah. This is a solve that manages to achieve 1 input. It was going to do 6, but like, this is already what it needs to do with just 1 input. It was going to do 6 simultaneously, but as you can see, it does not pull any extra inputs.
How does it do this?
I wonder if I can rotate it so that the game's
So-
not liking that.
I had put some thought into. Oh shit! I had put some thought into making a solution that only used the data input. I had decided that it was a lot of work, and especially didn't want to do it if someone else was going to attempt it. But like, the idea was, yeah, like Steven's doing here, is to do like geometric thing. Basically, if you can figure out whether there's a fire bond somewhere or not, then you can move the molecule in one direction, otherwise move it in a different direction, and then you have 2 separate pipelines where you have additional information within them. Keep going that way.
When's it gonna... Does it?
I think this is where it stalls out.
Ah. Oof. Stephen did mention that getting 1 output though?
You got one bit of information of the output.
Oh.
Apparently, it's stored in a way that
Oh.
doesn't actually look like one bit.
Ouch. Right, yeah. So this is an attempt by Steven on actually doing it without the...
So what you're saying is, if you can essentially debond everything, you can use the triplex bonders to check for fire and then selectively duplicate / calcify to get the right output.
Yeah. do
Man,
something
that
like
is tough. That is real tough.
Well, so an example for could be, for example, you grab the input and then you say, okay, we're going to debond this atom from gold, and now we're going to put it over a triplex, and if it's still bonded, then that was a pair of fires, and then we'll swing it this direction, and now I know that this molecule has 2 fires in these locations. Keep going that way. Otherwise, you make the molecule go a different direction, and pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And then you choose to also do it at period 4 because you're Steven.
Mhm.
Yep. So, yeah. Yeah. Alright, next up we have, let's see, what else do we have? Biggie's speech showcase, since I have these organized by cost. You can zoom back in.
Sure. So yeah, I managed to find an algorithm with a 2-cycle inner loop that wasn't Rolomni's shadow clusters and not greats.
Yeah, it's a speech showcase that's not actually the fastest solve.
Yeah, it has more latency and it's running at 18 cycles per output.
Shadow clusters
But it
also
is-
runs at 18 per
Yeah.
output.
It's counting to 3 using a bunch of wands on fire, and it makes an enormous waste cheap. I didn't want to try to make multiple pipeline cycles because then it just becomes much more sprawling, but I was kind of proud of getting this algorithm. I'm still proud of it. It's just 11 cycles slower than not great.
Yeah.
Also, it requires 3 different fires at input speed, and I didn't want to add latency to duplicate one of them, so I used Burlow. This is the first solve to put Burlow in it.
Yeah. Burlow
Yeah,
isn't
that's-
really useful outside of showcase.
There's a way of doing exclusive ore using quintessence and Burlow,
But why?
but hey, it was a showcase last year.
Like, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
showcase,
duplicate
but
water
you don't
onto everything
need
and
to
then put them
do
with
it.
a known air and earth.
Mhm. Oh, it's
You
lagging.
use
Okay.
dispersion to regenerate the
On the topic of on the topic of Biggie Sauce, we can show his TI solve.
Ooh, I'm excited to see this one.
I got a
57 TI.
57 with 1/9 T. It also is 666 cycles for whatever that's worth.
Nice.
So it's 1/9 T because it's reading 8 times off of the input. And then the 9th time it has to reset the state machine, which is just a fire counter. So it passes a salt through by suppressing the input for exactly 1 cycle. And then the input grab happens on that cycle, so ARM2 doesn't pass an input on one of its 9/8 loops. That is the grab delay move that I've been talking about.
Awesome. Yeah, see ya, goodbye Galaxy. goodbye Galaxy.
So yeah, in the top right of this is the fire counter that'll replace a fire with a salt. The rest is just an ore. And then the rest is basically making sure that 9 loops happen before the output gets made, and the output gets made at the right time. This was a fun one to find. I made it 57 and thought, it's as good as I'll make it. I wanted other people to get TI so I could see whether it was actually a good solve or just the one that I made.
Wes also mentioned that I made a TI.
Gecko did?
I don't see a solve by Gecko though.
Oh, there's actually failed I think they said something like it only passes a small percentage of the cases.
I see. So nobody else submitted them. Alright, next up we have, I have no idea which ones I should actually include, which ones I should actually show. Like, lots of people are saying, like, don't show their, showcase solve, but, like, can't really tell which ones I should use. I'll just go through all, like, go through all of them quickly then. This one's by this one's by Genius 42, Genius 42. It has a Bertho. I think this is 3 pipelines, I see.
From the title, it looks like this was just them trying to make their algorithm faster.
Yeah. Yep. Alright, next one is by Ebanov. They call it a Warm Titan 22R. Just a different state machine. Any smart pipeline solutions? I don't think so. There's a Not Great's hook counter, hat inverter solution. Oh, right, this is 2 registers.
Interesting.
Yeah, the bottom's the counter and the top is inverter, because in shadow clusters, well, in the algorithm, you need to invert the bit if it's triple fire. Wait, no, if it's double fire.
Cycle inverter.
If it's 2 fire in the in Y and Z, then you need to invert the bit. So that's why the inverter exists.
How would this have scored if it was not showcase?
Well, it's written right there.
It's
But-
worse than their submission.
Yeah, it is. Which is why it's showcased now.
Right, but by how much is what I'm curious about.
This was, I don't remember. I can check.
Let me just calculate it real quick. Is that 446? Huh.
Yeah, it's... Huh. 446.
Expansive.
Yeah. I forgot if Morokonda says that if we had to show it or not. I'll just show it regardless. But yeah, oh, it's a 6. Yeah, this is their 60.
Oh yeah, this is
Oh,
just the same.
inverter always inverts. Okay. Okay, Cuckoo 52's no way solve. Basically the same algorithm, but they don't have waste. So shadow cluster, you can take a reader then. Also, yeah, we're kind of just in the post-tournament stuff, stuff now, just kind of relaxing, watching showcases.
Chilling,
Chilling.
watching showcases, thinking about the weeklies.
Thank you
Wait,
already. For Genius, robot or face? This is one of the
I'm thinking-
myself.
I'm thinking about how to cast my net over the idea of solution space so that I don't miss what Shadow Cluster had.
Next
Next
tournament
time.
already? Already thinking about next tournament.
I mean, these are always opportunities to improve and figure out where your blind spots are, what kind of intuition you should be developing to get better as a player. I'm not ashamed to say I'm doing that while I watch.
Thinking about Space Camp. Right, Space Camp tournament happens first. Actually, I don't know which one happened. No, weeklies happened first, and then the Space Camp started. Three of these, look, ma, no boundaries. Okay, so quintessence logic. Oh wait, no
Hey.
triplex bonders or normal bonders.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh. So you just calcify and dupe.
Also, your fire detector is the...
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exclusive order.
yeah.
Nice meme.
What's all of the bonders around?
You
Oh,
love
for
to
the-
see it.
Is it just decoration?
That might be to signal no bonder.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, this is a funny one. It's slow though. Yeah, we probably don't need to finish watching it. Mad Master. Min height if you got to choose the metrics. The metric being height.
There's a height 3 solve.
Yep, there's a height 3 solve. So yeah, basically triple fire detection. Otherwise an ore. I think.
Oh, it's doing 18 atoms through the pipeline to get one out, but the triple fire is a lot more repeatably 3 height that way. That makes sense. Mr. Puzzle wants you to press P.
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh. You don't have colors enabled.
Oh, right, yeah. I can go do that if you want.
Oh, also for Gecko's information, when you press 4, the tray disappears. That's always been a feature.
Beautiful.
Huh, neat.
Color coded
Ooh.
area.
For such a long time, I've wondered what kind of main I would, and I figured it out. I'm a modding main.
Mod wizard.
You want to explain what the colors mean?
Certainly. So, green means an atom swung through there and would hit an atom or an arm base. Blue means an atom or arm base went through there and would crash with an atom, but not an arm base. Yellow means that's only covered by an arm shaft. And red means it's only covered by a glyph or other part.
Yeah, that's
So it gives
gonna
you
be pretty helpful.
Right, it gives you collision information. So, for example, if you finish your solution and you see red hexes, you want to double check whether you actually use those hexes or whether, like, you accidentally have extra parts.
Yeah.
Yellow hexes would indicate where you could put a gold atom, like input for funsies. and blue hexes would indicate where you could have a arm base without worrying about a atom crash.
I just put a salt in there because, yeah, that was a yellow space.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, the mods are really cool.
I like the more intense colors. I think at the first point I'd seen this mod, it was like, the colors are cool, but they're very hard to distinguish from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it
Now
was
that's very obvious.
right. Because like when it's drawn normally, it's fine, but that's because there's only the one color. Drawing it thicker makes it tell the different colors.
Yeah, I turned on the thicker setting as well. Alright. Oh, it stays like that even after. Okay, nice.
Yep, that's another feature is that you can show area from the previous run. So if you want to spam pistons everywhere to get max cost solve, there you go.
No one has ever had that as a use case, Mr. Puzzle. What are you talking about?
Also, Chickens in the Attic has, this is pretty much the solve, right? It's just a dynamic state machine. Yeah, this is just their solve.
But a previous iteration that had a metric score of 667.
Yeah. Alright, next up, I probably don't need to show yours, right, Brookie?
Oh.
Another sub 400 state machine.
Yeah, I think you might as well, because it's the 3 cycle per in loop version that I keep talking about.
It's also rotated differently.
Oh yeah, you could rotate it back if you want.
Nah, it doesn't matter that much. Oh, you just dissect. Biggie made the improvements by dissecting the wheel. You made the improvement by not dissecting the wheel.
Yeah, so it ended up being that I could simplify so much more. Like, for example, arms 8 and 9 becomes a single arm, and I save 2 track and 2 area, and the cost of a single arm. The arm pinion that does the readout gets simplified massively. Instead of doing 3 arms on a 3 track, that becomes just a single tri-arm. The arm track loop that does the input atom readout, that just becomes a single arm on a 3 track, and I don't need the 2 arms on the 3 track holding the extra atoms for readout. And I save the area that would be taken up by those extra arms, and also I can use the middle atom for reset, because that's the only one wand that I need, instead of having to use wands for both of them. And also there's the input. I can put that in a better place for better area. So it just ended up being so... I just gained so much more from going to a 4 cycle loop that it ended up being lower metric.
Yeah. Alright, next up, not great's simple and clean logic gate solve. Alright, the pistons. Reminds me of JoJo's solve.
Yeah, it really does.
Oh. Yeah, it's doing the triple fire check-in.
Except this properties, I don't know if this scores better than JoJo's solve or not though. Oh, never mind, it doesn't work properly. Whoopsies.
Oh, it's 3T, but it doesn't actually have the programming right. Unless someone nudged an instruction into the tape.
I don't know. I didn't press any keys.
Looks like it accidentally got mangled at the end.
Alright, no triplex. By B. Smith, using Animismus. Yeah. Animismus is the better... Well, no, Animismus is not OR gate.
Animismus with a known salt, though, is just a salt detector.
Otherwise known as an organ, I guess.
Oh, so that's how it checks for triple fire.
Oh wait, how does it do it?
So if it sees triple fire, it'll make 4 fire atoms. Arm 2 will pull 4 fire atoms.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, the animismus just basically exists to turn salts into holes which will bond.
So it's like a salt output, basically.
You know, we only ever got one puzzle for computation with output conditionals. Even by the time I was leading it, it was like, those are too powerful, don't get those.
You mean output conditionals?
Yeah, output conditionals from RPO's wheeling version.
Yeah. Alright, and next one, no bonds. No bonders. Also by D. Smith. Except doing it differently this time.
Oh wow, the animismus. And then also... What? You're putting Vitae onto a unification list? Have you gone mad?
It's basically a 4 salt detector.
But
No, it's a 4 fire. It's a fire detector.
This is the first computation solution I've ever seen that puts Vitae onto a unification list. So B. Smith, hats off to you.
That's a fire detector right there.
That is a fire detector.
That's interesting. Captains like the alchemical police are here to catch you. How dare you put animismus on contestants' lists? Alright. Next up we have a no triflex solved by POD. Oh, my homies hate triflex. Animismus seems to be the go-to when you don't have triflex.
Yeah, it's an easier way with less overhead to distinguish fire from salt.
Yeah. Except the bonder really helps here as well. Oh, no.
Oh, this is a... it just holds on to 6 inputs.
Oh. That's
funny.
one way to not dispose of things. Alright. This one looks like a normal. This one looks like a normal solve. Oh yeah, this is probably just single pipeline. Huh. That is a long track.
Yeah, this looks like just one station of Genius's algorithm. Yeah, and this has me curious about the cost as well. Cad's been in chat. I agree.
Yeah, anyways, here's the cost solves. Well, the area solve first. We have an area solve by Newish share. Computation area is a wonderful thing. Actually, this one does better than the other area solved by Hello Jasper. But
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
we'll check that out in a bit. Oh, it's lagging because of instructions. Ugh.
And this is why I will never give a computation puzzle that is an area primary.
This is why I will never do such a thing again.
Notice phosoglyph.
That's impressive commitment to code 7,494 cycles for a showcase.
Yeah. And they still got second place. Like, it was a second place? Yeah, second place.
How? Oh, it's... Wait. Okay, I'm not seeing how this could possibly loop.
Oh, it just makes a waste chain after it solves.
Well, that, or you could be like, oh, I'm gonna grab 3 atoms and place them somewhere, and then going stuff. But like, you could have it. You could have it so that at the end of the tape, the piston
minute.
is extended or on the plus side of the track, and so where it would try to grab more fire inputs, it would just grab these.
Right, but then... Oh.
That could work.
Oh.
Because there's a chance
That would-
that it's all salt, so you can't like make everything fire because there's no normal bonders.
Yeah, this has to preserve every bond in the input and do its fixes by duplicating if it needs to be duplicated, calcifying if it needs to be calcified.
So the
But
three,
it's able to do position conditionals based on triplexity bonder, so
so
it
basically
makes
the
sense.
3 extra atoms are the just registers, basically.
$25 area for this is something.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to see how it loops, but it's gonna take a while, isn't it?
Whoa, we're halfway there.
I'm probably halfway
Whoa,
on stream.
living on a prayer.
It's 4,000 cycles for me right now. 4,500. I can't even tell if anything's happening with the all fire input. It's gonna be the same thing with the all salt.
Yeah.
Biggie, why did you do
Computation.
area like last on your year?
I thought it would be interesting to make the concept of storage of information a challenge, but I didn't actually think decently hard about
The
non-register approaches, or at least registers that exist across time instead of space.
See, the solution is to make it a cabinet computation puzzle with cycles as the metric.
Oh boy.
Yeah, or even just cycles plus area as a sum with weight of cost 1 over infinity.
Is Panic gonna be next year's host? Because I wonder what idea he had.
You'll see.
Okay, let's see how it resets. Where's... Wait, where did it get the fire?
There's a known fire.
Huh. That's interesting.
Oh no, it's doing a waste chain.
Oh well.
Triplets bonded waste chain.
Alright, Kosov.
I just noticed that the calcifier's no access. Just for excess fun.
I mean, that
You mean-
calcifiers
you
don't
mean
really
no
need
access.
to be.
No access fun.
Yeah, but he ended up having to make salt at one point from the beginning, so he has to bond.
Oh, right.
So you probably don't need all these. Yeah, you don't need all these glyphs.
Yeah, even just the area solved before this showed that bonder is optional.
Mhm.
This is so crazy to think about. It's optional bonder makes things so complicated.
Yeah, RPO's tournament had the great thing of each metric could be explored for computation. I think that's a thing you do once, but the results were really cool because area and cost both had distinct from each other and distinct from anything you would think about for weighted sum algorithms.
Yeah. Except weighted sum still feels like the best metric.
We just know that we have to shoot for 360 something.
Really.
If you aren't there, improve. If you are there, you're good.
I do think it'd be interesting to have a computation puzzle that really focuses on instructions, just to see how that would get pushed.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Big
you definitely have to
chunks
do-
track loops.
Trackless instructions or tracks
Right,
plus
right.
instructions. Yeah.
Or something like, I don't know, some weird metric.
Panic is
Maybe we
dropping
could
in
experiment with
purpose.
it in weeklies or something. I don't know.
Computation Weekly? Hell yes, count me in.
I don't know if I
Also,
can
it's only
make
done
a.
one output so far. Okay, I'm not letting this fit. Oh, it's 14,000. Okay, yeah. That's not finishing.
I was gonna say I don't think I can make a computer in Opus Magnum every week.
Alright, how Jasper's area solve, which is actually cheaper than the previous solve by not having duplication.
Oh.
And this is exactly 7 area bigger than Nuchar's, which corresponds to 1 Disposy Boy.
Yep.
At least because it uses debonder and bonder, it gets to disassemble the input,
Mhm.
pull more of the inputs that are auxiliary and dispose things. But it manages to be slower than Nuchar's, which is also surprising.
Oh, yeah, it's
Is it-
super slow. 10,000 cycles is We'll watch one output. Also, if you see the fast forward icon, that's a new feature of Mr. Puzzle's mod.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks really pretty.
Yeah. Basically, you fast forward until that hex it has been used as area, but like since that's outside the area, it's just constantly fast forwarding. Where did you get that icon, by the way? You draw it yourself?
When you do the tutorial puzzles, they pulse hexes to be like, make sure to put your arm or whatever.
Oh.
Except
So
it's
use that.
except it's green. So I
Mhm.
color shifted it to purple. 'Cause purple wasn't used the coloring yet.
Yeah.
And then to make the fast forward icon, I just took the normal colored hex picture and I grabbed a 120-degree corner and
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
The pulsing hexes. I
love
was
the
just
pulsing.
thinking here earlier, like play your soul, like so in Infinifactory, towards the end of the Rebellion campaign, they have that puzzle where you need to fight aliens by building missiles and launching them out the correct tubes. And I was thinking just a while ago, I was like, oh man, but like, what if you're simulation, and then all of a sudden a bunch of like red pulsing hexes pop up, and it's like tactical launch detected or whatever.
It's gonna nuke your solution. The old Zactronics games really like the boss fights, huh?
There aren't any.
It's only in
boss
Space
fights
Chem, right?
Oh, just
Space Chem has I would consider that level in Infinifactory a boss fight.
Okay.
Because it's different in that like that puzzle alone allows you to have like the flipper switches, so you can change how your solution works while it's running. Similar to the ABCD controls in Space Chem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my! All right, to add flipper switches to
The real
Opus
boss
Magnum.
fight is Brookie, and Shadow Cluster is the second place. Alright, Mr. Puzzle Showcase. Smart Brute Force.
Hey,
This is not allowed in, like,
yeah,
by the
forbidden.
rules, but, like, yeah, you can do this to easily check all 6 cases.
Right.
All of the 64 cases.
Yeah, it's called Smart Brute Force because I'm not checking all 64 cases, because only 49 possible. Well, there's only 49 possible outputs
Oh, right, yeah.
based
Yeah.
on how Rule 10 works. So, and then we're kind of using a gray code to visit all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really cool, though.
Yeah. This is Truman Cost, by the way.
I'm thinking like
Good.
the full salt, the full fire case. There's only that one. If you have one salt or one fire, that's 6 full rotational. You have 2 adjacent, you've got 6 of those.
Oh, 16.
Yeah.
Wait, why is
This
this
shouldn't
16?
be Truman cost because you can get the fire onto the duplicator using the original arm instead of a second arm.
Oh, right.
At the cost of 3 track. You can go at least 5 gold cheaper, maybe 10 with geometry.
Well, it is this cheapest solution I received.
I see, that's what you meant.
Yay.
But the two fire atoms opposite each other, you only need to check 3 times because it's rotationally symmetric.
Yep.
And the 3 fire atoms, if they're 1 0 1 0 1 0, that's only 2. You only need to rotate that once.
Yep.
Huh.
So it's doing those optimizations as well.
Neat.
Alright, I've got a few more. There's 2 layers, a few 2-layer solutions. I think I'll choose a newer one, because I think they're the same thing. This is probably an old solve of 2 layers.
Oh, Tulares is the one that replaces the input with the next evolution. So it's not actually outputting ever, it's evolving Rule 110
Okay.
in a loop,
Yeah, no
which is
wonder
pretty
this one.
cool.
No wonder this
Presses
one
the
has 0
input.
metrics.
Yeah, so this is just causing Rule 110 to proceed the way it actually would as a cellular automaton.
Yeah, except it converges.
Yeah, because it's only on a 6 wide
Loop.
torus or whatever the 1D is,
Yeah.
the loop.
I think the specific default test case of 111000 it oscillates, right? I think it like
We'll see.
I think it oscillates between like that to the 5 fire one to I think that it goes back to like 3 fire and 3 salt, and then it will but it's in a different rotation,
Yeah.
and it'll do this 3 times before it goes back to the original.
Mm-hmm. And also another reason I chose the original test case is that you basically get almost all the test cases you need.
Mm-hmm.
The only ones you don't get is the alternating ones, salt, fire, and fire, salt, fire, which is in the second test case.
I found it pretty useful for my own case to test fire, 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 salt, fire, salt. As my default, I think I spent most of the 2 weeks with that as my input.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to show this because I find it funny. So, Brooke, this is the first solve that Brookie just sent me. Brookie is like, hey, this solves one case. This solves the salt case. Salt, all salt case.
If it was rule 204, it would solve every case.
Yes. Well, maybe. It depends on if this is rotated properly. It is. Okay. Alright, chickens in the attic has a solve. I think this is an old solve, maybe? I don't know, the description kind of shows what this is, if you can read it.
Not even optimal. Yeah, just overlap the input and the output, there you go. I wonder if Rule 110 is doable in 3 cycles with overlap.
Huh.
No, I think that was a question asked of ELU as well, and it's not universal computation capable.
Yeah, I've always wanted to look into something like that where it's like, oh, if I just plunk down a bajillion overlap glyphs, can I do something? And the thing I run into almost every single time is I can't figure out a good way and or not. I think it's the ones. And for sure. But I think I had trouble with not.
Right, because you only get duplication and calcification are the ones that can proc instantly. You can triplex bond, but you can't do anything meaningful with it in half a cycle.
The presence of a bond is meaningless if you don't also have output conditionals. But if you have output conditionals, you're using up your inputs.
Yeah.
Oh, hold up a second. Why can't we just plonk down so many glyphs that we can just gray code it out?
The issue is that is every glyph procs before output.
Right, before output. Right, that's
Exactly.
the problem.
Yeah.
You have to make it like iterate through all the states with your glyphs, like going one step through that iteration.
Alright. That should be all.
Oh, you know what you might be able to. This would be a pain in the butt. Well, no, that wouldn't help for cycle.
Oh,
I was just thinking, you just have a huge string of salts, and they just go all over the place. And like every cycle, they duplicate one step farther. And then
But that's you
and
could
then you have
do
it
that.
and you have it all wrap around. So like that's so you're storing information in that wire of salts, similar to fun computer science trivia. They used to have hardware. It was memory. It was like was it
Like a delay line?
Yeah, it was a delay line. So like you stored bits in it, and you could read it precisely this much cycles later, and so it functioned as like memory storage.
Isn't that just a shift register today?
Yeah, it basically was a shift register, but it was you had to pick it up X cycles later or you lost it.
Ah.
Oh, that sounds difficult to time.
I think you could get away with it because it's like the processor worked at a set speed. So you knew it was like it would be similar like in Opus Magnum, it'd be like this happens exactly 10 cycles later and you can reliably read it at that point.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah, it's
these
like turning
days,
the base of where to read it from into the time of when to read it, and you can just like send it in a loop again, if you're not overriding it.
these days, I'm sorry for bringing in more nerdy stuff, but
That's fine.
I'm in a class where I have to design like an analog to digital converter, and we have to have like non-overlapping clocks, and the way to do it is you just put in NOT gates, like you just cascade NOT gates one after each other to delay the signal.
All right. Yeah, that should be all. So, some thanks that I have to do since it's the end of the tournament. So, first of all, thank you to Panic for like building the whole site with this. Basically, this entire tournament was built on.
Oh
Yeah, no problem.
that site is fantastic.
Yeah.
It keeps
Yeah.
track of what you've submitted. It shows the scores.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so much, Panic.
Yeah,
And
hopefully
Panic
it continues
is
to
doing
be
this all for
useful
free.
for weeklies, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I'm like, oh, this is so much better than having to input every single player's solutions manually.
Oh yeah, like the old way of running the
Basically,
tournaments.
just what
Yeah.
Brookie did last year and what Biggie did as well.
hmm
Oh, hi, Anime. You just joined.
Oh, I just apologize for bringing more nerdy stuff. Well, see, that's why I went ahead and actually told the story.
But yeah, and thank you all for participating in the tournament too. It was a great time. I had a great time as host, seeing all your solutions come in, and all.
Yeah,
And
thank
The
you
host
for
experience is
hosting.
great. I hope more people try it out.
And it seems we have many years of tournament to come. And thank you to Shadow Cluster, RPO, Grimmy, and Panic for vetting the puzzles I've made and giving a few suggestions as well. And yeah, I'll probably write a more complete like tournament ending document or like message later on. But yeah, I guess I'll be ending the stream here. So thank you all for joining in on the 2022 tournament and see you all next year.
Goodbye.
Yep. See
See
ya.
ya.
See ya.